G'day and welcome back. You're with Slate and Jury, and this is 3CIR's little corner of the internet where we swap war stories for wisdom and turn lived experience into qualifications you can actually use. I'm Joel Slate Cairns, and I'm still buzzing from my second coffee.
And I'm Ryan Jury Delaney. He's on 2 coffees and I'm on a questionable energy drink. So if this episode suddenly breaks into a 5-kilometer cadence run, you'll know why. But hey, you're in good hands. This is 3CIR, founded by ADF Army veterans, built on courage, commitment, camaraderie, integrity, and respect. Not just printed on a wall, we try to live it, right?
Exactly. We built 3CIR because the transition from uniform to civvies can be a maze. We know that maze. We've walked it. We help veterans, emergency services, and everyday legends translate what they already know into recognised quals through RPL and online courses. That means less guesswork, more momentum,
and more humour along the way. Because if you can't laugh at yourself while scanning your old field notes for a competency statement, you're missing out on the good stuff. Today's topic hits close to home, Defence RPL, and how it helps you optimise your work options and career opportunities out here in the civilian world.
Quick setup. Wakagi, working in defence, WITA, you see and do things most civilians can't picture. You get high quality medical, you get looked after, you might travel, you build skills that become second nature. But one day you start looking at Seek or LinkedIn and it's like, hang on, how do I show all this on a resume? How do I get past the no quals, two quals paradox?
The paradox is real. You're overqualified for entry-level roles because of what you've led and handled. You're underqualified on paper because your quals are trapped in acronyms. That's where Defence RPL is a game changer. Recognition of prior learning says, let's count what you've already done and map it to nationally recognised qualifications.
Think of RPL as the bridge. You don't start from zero. You don't pay and sit through months of learning you could deliver better in your sleep. You bring your evidence, your deployments, your duties, your training. We assess it against the competency standards. Boom. You might land a certificate IV or a diploma without sitting a full course. Sometimes you fill small gaps instead of doing the whole thing.
And that shift, that's massive for your headspace. A lot of us struggle in the early days of transition. The identity piece is heavy, the job hunt can rattle your confidence, and taking unnecessary courses just to tick boxes, that drags you down. Military RPL cuts the delay. It's not a magic wand, but it's a head start at a time when a head start matters.
Let's set the theme plane. How do military courses help you optimize your work options and career opportunities? Number 1, they help you transition to civilian life faster and with less friction. Number 2, they transfer your skills into civilian qualifications so employers get it. And number 3, they open pathways to leadership, safety, security, HR, business, marketing, government, project management, and more.
Before we dive into examples, if you're thinking, where do I start? Take the free RPL assessment on the 3CIR site. It's quick, it's free, and it gives you a snapshot of what you might already be eligible for. We'll circle back to that later.
Let's talk real. Imagine Jess, Navy electronics tech. She's kept systems humming on a ship in the middle of nowhere with a clock ticking louder than a metronome. Civvy side, she looks at IT support roles, network admin, maybe cybersecurity. Jess brings logs, course reports, duty statements, references. We map those to qualifications in ICT or leadership depending on her goal. Suddenly, she's not ex-Navy. She's a qualified pro in a language recruiters use every day.
Or Mick, infantry section commander with a backpack full of mission plans and a platoon's worth of stories, civvy translation, leadership and management, security and risk, work health and safety, maybe project management if he's driven complex tasks across teams. The day he sees Diploma of Leadership and Management on a certificate, it's not fluff. It's what he's done, anchored in a national standard. That feeling, it's like taking your kid off after a week in the bush and finding a shower. You can breathe again.
Now, some of you are thinking, sounds good, what's the hidden catch? There isn't one. There's effort, sure. Evidence matters, but it's focused effort. And 3CIR helps with the map. We're Defence RPL specialists. We've worked with Navy, Army, Air Force folks for years. We know the language, we know the roles, and we know how to translate.
I want to bust a myth right now. RPL isn't lowering standards, it's meeting them by a different route. If you can prove you've planned operations, managed risk, trained people, handled incidents, implemented safety, governed processes, then you've done the work. RPL just recognizes it. No shortcuts on quality, just no time wasted repeating skills you already have.
Exactly. Another angle. Employers love clarity. If you hand in a CV that says you were a troop sergeant, some will nod, some will scratch their heads. If you hand in a CV that says Diploma of Project Management, Cert Ivor in Work Health and Safety, Leadership and Management, suddenly it clicks. The recruiter knows what to do with you.
Let's riff on the course areas for a sec. If you're a natural leader who's had people looking to you on a bad day, leadership and management is a no-brainer. Cert IV or diploma, depending on your scope. If you've been the safety conscience, running TMIs, toolbox talks, hazard IDs, then work health and safety could be your sweet spot.
Security and risk management is massive if you've done threat assessments, force protection, base security, or convoy planning. Business is great if you've handled stores, budgets, procurement, rosters. HR if you've done personnel admin, welfare, training needs analysis. Marketing for the storytellers and communicators who can translate complex info into something human.
And government, can't forget that. If you've worked in compliance, policy, or you've transitioned into the APS, there are pathways that align with that world. Project management is the universal passport. If you've planned, executed, monitored, and closed tasks within constraints, you're already there. You just need the paper that helps a hiring manager connect the dots.
For a taste test, 3CIR's YouTube channel has short videos on these topics. Leadership, HR, WHS, security, business, marketing, government, project management. Think of them as quick recon before the main op. Hit play, see if the language speaks to you, then circle back to the assessment.
And if you're still in service and thinking, I'll sort it later, file this away, later sneaks up fast, start building your evidence now. Keep your course reports, references, PARs, PM keys or PM keys, training records, duty statements, SOP contributions, rosters you created, incident reports you compiled. You don't need to disclose classified stuff, but you can show what you did, why it mattered, and the outcomes you achieved.
Let me make that super practical. Evidence is anything that proves competence. That can be documents, photos of activities you led, a letter from your OC confirming duties and duration, logbooks, awards, even de-identified examples of your planning docs. We help you assemble it, and we map it to the elements and performance criteria in the qualification.
And if there are small gaps, it's not a full reset. Maybe you need a short piece of training or an assessment task to cover a specific competency. That's the beauty of RPL. It finds what counts and fills only what's missing.
Quick story. We worked with a comms operator who spent years making impossible networks sing in worse than worst conditions. That person walked into interviews where the first question was, "Do you have XYZ cert?" That gate stopped them cold. After RPL, they walked in with recognized quals and the same skills they always had. Doors opened that should have opened sooner.
And it's not just jobs, it's confidence. There's this mental load we all carry when we leave. Are my skills actually valuable out here? The RPL process answers that. Yes, they are valuable, they are needed, they are transferable. Sometimes you just need the civilian dictionary.
Speaking of dictionaries, let's translate a few common tasks. You ran a section? That's people leadership, performance management, risk management. You wrote sit reps and command briefs. That's reporting, stakeholder communication. You conducted JSA or risk assessments. That's WHS, hazard identification, control measures, continuous improvement.
You managed stores and did counts that would make an accountant blush. That's inventory control, procurement, asset management. You trained new diggers. That's mentoring, learning facilitation, sometimes even formal training and assessment if you built and delivered sessions against learning outcomes.
You coordinated movements, ensured the right kit got to the right place at the right time. That's logistics, supply chain, even project scheduling. You stood up in the worst moments and calmed a situation. That's crisis management, incident response, de-escalation. In security or risk roles, that translates straight across.
And if you've been in aviation, engineering, medics, MPs, you've got pathways too. We've seen medics transition into health admin and WHS roles with strength. MPs slide into security and investigations, aviation techs into safety, maintenance planning, and quality management. It's not one lane fits all. It's choose your lane once you know your options.
Let's talk speed and cost for a second because time is money and money is stress. RPL is typically faster than enrolling in a full qualification cold. Could be weeks to a couple of months depending on complexity and the evidence you have ready. That can shave thousands off and put you into the workforce, or in a better role, soonest.
And if you're mid-transition with kids, a mortgage, and a spouse who's already dealt with more moves than a traveling circus, sooner is everything. The minute you turn your experience into recognized quals, your job search gets traction.
There's also the network effect. When you do RPL through 3CR, you're not just a number, you're part of a community. We're big on camaraderie, still. We connect people to resources, we point to opportunities, we answer the weird questions, and we never make you feel silly for asking them.
Silliness is our brand anyway, but seriously, reach out early, even if you're just curious. You can say, I was Navy, did X, Y, Z, what could that look like? We'll give you an honest take, not a brochure. If a qualification doesn't fit, we say so. If another one suits better, we nudge you there.
Another open loop to keep you hooked. In a few minutes, I want to run through a quick blueprint for your evidence pack, start to finish. But before that, there's a misconception we should kill off. The myth that nothing in defense looks like business or HR or marketing. False. You've told stories that rallied people. You've built engagement. You've navigated conflict and influenced outcomes. That's communication and brand just with camo.
I remember a young corporal who produced internal newsletters for his unit. Snappy, useful, morale boosting. Fast forward and he's in a marketing role building campaigns and content because guess what? The core muscle is the same. Know your audience, deliver value, stick to the deadline. Old skill, new uniform.
Exactly. Let's bring in the leadership piece again. Civi leadership isn't always rank on shoulder. It's influence, direction, and accountability. If you've ever taken responsibility for outcomes that mattered, regardless of how messy the inputs were, you can transfer that. And a qualification like the Diploma of Leadership and Management gives you the language and the external validation.
And if you want to see what those look like in the wild, go check out our short video series. Leadership, HR, WHS, security, business, marketing, government, project management, all in bite-sized chunks. You might watch one and go, that's me. Or watch 3 and form a blend. That's fine too. The point is clarity.
All right, that evidence pack blueprint I promised. Start with your service timeline. Units, roles, dates. Then gather your formal training. Course reports, certificates, learning outcomes. Add your on-the-job responsibilities, duty statements, PARs, position descriptions. Collect artifacts that show outcomes, plans you authored, risk assessments you conducted, rosters you built, audits you led, recognitions you earned.
Sprinkle in supervisor references that confirm scope and impact. When possible, include numbers. Managed a team of 12 across 24-hour operations, reduced incident rates by 25%, coordinated logistics for movements totaling X tons. Those figures speak civilian.
Finally, make sure anything sensitive stays out. You can describe the task without the classified guts. Use generic terms. 3CR will guide you through that balance. Then we line your evidence up against the qualification requirements and see what fits, what needs topping up, and how to complete the set.
And once you've got the piece of paper, don't let it gather dust. Update your resume in plain English. Translate rank into role. Instead of section commander, say team leader. Instead of operations cell, say operations support. Instead of JSA, say job safety analysis. Simple words win.
Also give LinkedIn some love. It's a tool, and your next boss might be scrolling it on a Sunday arvo. Add your new quals. Write a short summary of your mission focus. Highlight leadership, safety, risk, project wins. Ask a couple of your references for a recommendation on there. It compounds.
If your inner voice is whispering, I'm not a desk person, don't worry, not all quals point to a cubicle. Security and risk roles get you out on sites. WHS gets you walking the floor. Project work can be across construction, defense industry, logistics, events. Plenty of roles where boots still beat loafers.
And some of you will choose to climb the ladder academically after RPL. RPL can be a springboard into higher study too. Getting a diploma can open doors to advanced standing if you decide to tackle a degree later. Optional, not mandatory, but nice to know the path exists.
Quick mid-episode check-in. If you've been thinking this sounds like me, but I'm not sure which qual I fit, take the free RPL assessment at 3CIR. It's literally built for that. You answer a handful of questions about your service, your duties, your training, and we give you options. It's not a lock-in, it's a starting point.
And for our listeners in emergency services, we see you too. Many of the same principles apply: leadership under pressure, incident management, safety, community engagement. Your pathway matters, and we'll tease something big for you in our next episode in a minute.
Let's hit a few more real-life combos so ideas keep sparking. Signals or ICT folks, you'll find ICT quals, security, and project roles a natural fit. Engineers or tech maintainers, think WHS, quality, maintenance planning, and leadership. Logistics cats, your business and project goal.
MPs and security roles map to security, risk management, and investigations. Medics transition well into WHS and health admin. Aircrew or aviation support slide into safety management, operations, and compliance. If you've ever run a range or training environment, that's risk, safety, and leadership all stacked up.
And if you were the unit's unofficial HR rep helping people sort leave, postings, welfare, conflict resolution, that's foundational HR. With RPL, you can show it without pretending you loved every minute of admin. You just show the competency.
Another piece people don't think about: government qualifications. If you're aiming for roles in councils, state or federal departments, or defense industry contracting, having a government qualification says you understand public sector frameworks and accountability. It's like wearing the right boots for the terrain.
We've had folks tell us, I didn't think marketing could be me. Then we ask, ever run a campaign to get your team engaged with a safety initiative or to turn around a unit culture point? That's internal marketing. Ever convert complex instructions into a one-page brief people actually read? That's content design. The bones are there.
So, what's the first action after listening? Write down 3 of your biggest defense achievements, the ones your mates still mention. Next to each, write the civilian skill it shows: leadership, risk, planning, comms, logistics. Then head to 3CIR, do the free RPL assessment and see what aligns. If you're already out and looking to beef up the resume, same play. Start with what you've done, not what you lack.
And poke around our resources. Those short videos we mentioned are like a recon patrol for your brain. Low risk, high intel. If you watch and think, yep, that's my lane, flick us a message. If you think none of those feel right, still flick us a message. Sometimes your path is a blend, or it sits under a qualification title you wouldn't expect.
Let's talk mindset. It's normal to feel like a beginner again when you step out, but you're not a beginner in life. You've led, you've adapted, you've delivered under pressure. Civvy Street recognizes that when you package it properly, and RPL is the packaging.
Put it this way, you didn't go on deployment without a plan, a map, and a pack that was ruthlessly trimmed. This is the same. Plan your move, map your skills, trim the fluff, carry what matters. Your qual becomes your IFF, friend or friendlier in the eyes of recruiters.
Nice. And if you're worried the world won't get your story, remember why 3CR exists. We were founded by ADF Army veterans who are sick of watching good people get stuck in translation. Those 5 tenets we opened with: courage, commitment, camaraderie, integrity, respect. They guide everything here. You're not a ticket, you're a teammate.
Before we wrap, what arts? I want to circle back to the emotional bit. There's nothing wrong with feeling lost for a while. A lot of former military personnel have trouble adjusting to civilian life. You're not broken and you're not alone. Getting your quals sorted is one solid step in the right direction. It builds momentum. It shrinks the gap between who you were yesterday and who you can be tomorrow.
And it signals to your family, your future employer, and most importantly to yourself that your service translates not just in gratitude, but in real-world value. That matters, more than people admit.
All right, quick fire round. Slate, name a role and the likely qual.
Section Commander.
Leadership and Management, WHS.
Bravo, Aviation Tech.
WHS, Quality Systems, maybe Project Management depending on duties.
Logistics NCO.
Business, Project Management, maybe Government if you're going public sector.
Comms Operator.
ICT, Pathways, Security, Project. And a side of coffee.
Medic.
UHS, Health Admin Adjacent, and Leadership if you led teams.
MPCAL.
Security and Risk Investigations. Look at those videos for more.
That game proves the point. Your pathway isn't mysterious, it's just coded. RPL is the decoder ring.
And Your next step is not a leap of faith. It's a step onto a marked trail. Start with that free RPL assessment on 3CIR. Bring your evidence, have a chat with our team, watch a couple of videos, pick your target.
I reckon that's the mission brief. Convert lived experience into recognised quals. Use RPL to bypass unnecessary training. Move into civilian roles faster, clearer, and with a certificate that does the talkings.
And keep an eye on our tools and resources. We keep adding guides, checklists, examples. If you've got a topic you want us to cover, toss it our way. This show is for you on a commute, at the gym, in between jobs, wherever you are. We want you walking away with something useful.
Speaking of useful, next episode we're diving into something big for our frontline family. All current and former members of the military and emergency services get a 25% discount across all qualifications. Always, no exceptions. We'll unpack how to use it, what emergency services RPL looks like, and how to stack that discount with smart pathway planning.
So if you're a firefighter, AMBOs, SES, police, or you've got a mate who is, tell them to tune in. It's going to be practical, generous, and a little bit rowdy.
All right, you legends. Hit the assessment, grab the videos, take one small step today. And if you need a nudge, you know where to find us.
Courage, commitment, camaraderie, integrity, respect, that's the compass. We'll see you on the trail next time.